some questions you must ask, or you end up losing your money. And that will be our discussion for today. Hello, you're welcome to our live session, and we are very happy to have you join us today. We are Brownie Global, a real estate marketing and development company. We're into properties and also land. So, as a real estate company, we help you as an investor make secure and profitable real estate investments. So, we have our offices in Enugu and Abuja. And if you're looking for land as an investor, or maybe land basically for investment, or you want to buy land maybe for a building purpose, or if you're looking for a house where you can live with your family, then Brownie Global is that real estate company that you need to reach out to. Remember, we have our offices in Enugu and also Abuja, just in case you're looking for real estate investments in this region. All right, so today we'll be having an amazing discussion. But before we do that, first of all, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Obaleke Emmanuel. I'm a real estate consultant based in the city of Enugu. And here with me is an amazing person. My colleague is very experienced in this business. So, sir, please, may we know you?
Okay, so my name is Jesse Anozie, and I am a real estate expert based in the city of Enugu.
All right. So today we'll be discussing about common questions that investors have been asking. So we notice that most time when people want to buy land, even from our clients and also prospects who are planning to buy land here in the state of Enugu, there are a couple of questions they ask. And also, even as an investor, before you invest or before you buy land, there are some questions that you must ask so that you don't make the wrong investment. And these questions are very, very important so that you ensure that whatever property you're going to buy, whether it's land or house, you ensure that you're making a genuine investment. I mean, you not end up losing your money. And that's the question we'll be answering today. All right, so we have a couple of them, but we're just going to take them accordingly. And the number one on our list is
What do I want to use the land for? Okay, so before this, this is a series. We started some time back. If you check around our page, you will see the first part of these questions, all right? So this is going to be the second part. This is like the part two of the questions we have been receiving
yeah.
from our clients, which will enable them to invest properly in lands precisely. All right, so today we're going to continue the part two, and I want you to stick with us to the end so that you're going to know exactly how to invest in land. Like, I mean, get the best out of your land investments. All right, these are certain questions that need to be answered for you to be able to get the best out of any land investments you want to make in Nigeria as a whole. These questions cut across any state you are or anywhere you are. It has to do with buying of land, regardless of where you find yourself at the moment.
Exactly.
As long as you want to buy a land, then you need to answer these certain questions, or you need to get answers for certain questions. All right. And today, the first question I want you to have an answer to is what do I want to use this land for?
Yeah.
Now, many people have set out to invest in land, but because they didn't have a purpose for that land, or why they wanted to invest in land,
Yeah.
they've not still invested in land till today. They've been wanting to invest since 2022, 2022 passed, they didn't do anything. 2023 passed, up that year. Funny thing is that they don't benefit from having a land investment, but because they've not gotten a purpose in which they want to use that land for, very firm investing in land. So the first thing I want you to understand today is that you need to have a purpose. You need to have why you want to invest in land or why you want to buy a land. I'll give you a few examples. People invest in lands because they want to build wealth for themselves.
Exactly.
People invest in lands because they want to generate steady income, right? They want to buy land and rent them out, and then you receive rental incomes. But people want to buy land to own their personal houses, right? They're tired of living with people or renting houses up and down. They want to buy their own. So whenever they come, example, if they are abroad, whenever they come back, they don't want to rent hotels or Airbnbs or apartments. They want to have their own house where you can come back to. You can stay as long as you want because it's your own house.
Yeah.
All right. So people want to own lands where they can build rental apartments that when they're not in Nigeria, their investment in land is giving them returns, even without doing anything on the property. Right. So some people buy land because they want to leave inheritance for their kids. Or they buy land because they want to sort some specific issues in the future and they foresee it. Example, you want to have a child and you know that your plan is to send your child abroad, right? Some people have devised a means, a strategy precisely to buy a land and hold it on for a period of time while that child is growing up, they know that when it's time to pay tuition fees abroad for that child, they can what sell off their
Yeah.
lands, right? To cover those bills. So people buy investments, land investments for different reasons, right? It depends on what you want to get out of that. And the beautiful part is that these investments got you back forever. Like they keep giving you, they
Yeah.
keep giving you, they keep appreciating, they keep giving you high returns on your investment. But first of all, you need to have a purpose for that land today. Some people want to build long-term wealth,
Mm.
right? They keep buying and reselling, buying and reselling.
Exactly.
And believe me, this is the quickest way to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
It has been proven, and it is sure that is the quickest, safe, less risky, and yet precise. So as long as you're going into strategy and a plan and a purpose, you're going to achieve wealth in a short period of time. Proven. All right? It's proven.
Yeah.
So today, before you buy a land, have a purpose, have a why.
Yeah.
This will guide you into buying it diligently. Like I said, people have procrastinated a lot, even though they know the benefits,
Mm.
but they've kept procrastinating over a period of time because they've put their ground to a reason why they need to achieve this, and this is why they have not achieved it. All
Mm.
right, so we're going over to the second question we usually receive, or people need to ask themselves when buying a land in Nigeria.
Yeah, that's a very good explanation. You know, while you were talking,
Yes,
a
sir.
thought just came to my heart. So
Okay.
that was the point you mentioned, peoples. So I
Mm.
remember in what Dr. Masmoro used to say, and if that you find out in a couple of his books, he said that if the purpose of a thing is not new,
It's not
abuse
defined.
is inevitable.
That's true.
So, and when you mention about people, so if people don't really know the reason why they want to invest,
Mm.
abuse can be the case.
So you have
So
to be.
that's why you've heard people say that, oh, I bought that land. And maybe after buying a land,
Mm.
so something that was supposed to be where they bought the land was supposed to be a long-term investment.
Yes.
But now they want to resell that land in the next 3 months or
Oh,
6 months, thinking
oh,
that they will get return of investment.
it doesn't work that way.
So really, like you mentioned, you need to know the reason why you want to invest. Is very, very important because if you don't know the reason, you might end up making the wrong investment. So it's something that before you even buy any land, sit down, plan yourself, think through whatever process that you're going to engage in that transaction. Know why you want to buy. And if it's for long term or short term, you need to understand. And then you also mentioned about legacy. So you want to buy, maybe you want to pass it to the next generation. So
Mm.
these are things that you need to understand so that you make the right investment.
Yes, sir.
Because if you don't consider this, you might end up regretting your investment.
True.
All right, so I'll move to the number two. So before we do that, just in case if you are just joining us, please let us know in the comment section. If you can hear us, just type one. Then if you can see us, please type two in the comment section. And just in case you're coming across our live section for the first time, I would like to know who you are and where you are watching us from. All right, so we move to number two. Number two says, how is the land zoned? That's an important question that you need to ask as an investor, especially if you're first time, because people who are very experienced in real estate, it's possible that many of them know about this. But if you are a first time buyer, or even if you're an experienced investor, important question that you need to ask is how is the land zoned?
Mm.
So land zoning simply means it's a system adopted by the government. So basically, what they use that system to specify what an area can be used for.
Mm.
So you heard about land zoning. You'll be thinking about what it's all about. So it simply means this is what the government have mapped out or maybe specified that this particular location can be used for.
Yes, sir.
So you have cases where a land can be zoned for agricultural purpose,
Mhm.
or maybe can be zoned for residential purpose,
Mm.
commercial purpose,
Mm.
or maybe industrial purpose. So you need to understand what an area can be used for before you buy. Take for instance, you're an investor and you want to buy a land basically for a residential purpose. You want to buy a land where you can build in the future to live with your family or maybe for a rental apartment.
Yeah.
So if the person does not get to know why this location can be used for, you might end up buying a land in a location can be used for an industrial purpose. And that's why when you now or maybe any agency that is in charge of that particular location, land tell you no, you cannot build this thing here.
Exactly.
That this place is for industrial peoples, and that's why you hear cases of people. It was sometime last month, I was reading something online. So they were talking about a property that was mapped for demolition in Abuja.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I began to read the write-up. So it was now stated that the reason is that because a property, residential apartment, was built in an area that was mapped for public purpose.
Oh my God.
Maybe the public purpose can be maybe school, for school, or maybe hospital. And the government now marked it for demolition.
Yeah.
Simply means this person did not have sufficient knowledge of what that place was meant for before he bought that land. So
Exactly.
that's why it is very important that before you even buy any land, know the zoning for that particular area. So you are sure if you are going for industrial purpose, you're sure that that particular area can be used for an industrial purpose. Take for instance, here in the city of Enugu, there are each of the location or area here in Enugu are known for a specific reason. For instance, Ninth Mile is known for a mixed purpose. It can be used for industrial
Yeah.
or residential.
Yeah.
Yeah, places like Independence Layout is strictly residential. You cannot see a factory
No.
in Independence Layout and they tell you, oh, we want to start producing wine and we are looking for a land.
You're not going to choose Independence Layout.
Exactly, that's not
It's not
possible
possible.
because Independence Layout is strictly for residential peoples. Why Naima is for mixed peoples, so it can be used for either industrial or maybe for residential. Because if people are building companies, they're going to build where their staff are going to stay. So that's why it is mixed. So as an investor, before you invest in any location, get to know. And sometimes you meet agents, they are telling you, oh, this place can be used for anything. This place can be used for anything. That's why you also need to go through the normal process by verifying what that area can be used for. This is going to land registry to verify this thing. And also even asking people who are experiencing that in real estate for them to feed you with necessary information that you need. And with that, if you have the necessary information before you invest, that will help you to invest in the right location.
Yes, and I'd just like to add here that
Okay.
this is also sometimes as a result of due diligence.
Yeah.
You know, when you conduct your due diligence, you're going to conduct in such a manner that you're going to have a depth knowledge,
Yeah.
which also helps you to know what a place or a location is zoned out for. It's part of your due diligence. So even regardless of what an agent is telling you, because a lot of agents these days,
Exactly.
but you doing your own findings also with truth. Second of all, I want to emphasize here that all land belongs to the federal government, held in trust by the governor of a state.
Yeah.
Right. So when you miss it in your due diligence, the government steps in and demolishes that land, and they're going to be right about it because they've expected you to do your due diligence and know what the plan is for. This is not hidden information. It is proper and guided information. When you're looking to build and you go for proper information, they're going to tell you that, oh, here is mapped up for greenery.
Yeah.
You can't go and be building where you're mapped up for greenery. They're going to come in and take your property away from you. And you know, like I love to say, real estate is one of the most expensive commodities you ever buy in your life. Some people, it's one of the most expensive commodities they ever bought in their life. And you don't want to buy it and get it wrong. You don't want to buy it and be in a situation whereby you're going to face demolition, right? Because the government are going to expect that you've done your due diligence and know what their own plan is and what you want to do. So you have to align with their plans because all land belongs to the federal government.
Exactly.
Right? So when they step in like that, there's little or nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
You get it now.
Yeah.
So moving on, we are moving to the third question, which you're supposed to ask as an investor that's going to guide you properly and make you make informed decisions when buying a land. And the third is the land accessible? Now you want to buy a land, but most importantly is accessibility to that property you want to buy.
Exactly.
You know, a value of a property is relatively dependent on how accessible that property is.
Yeah.
Now, you want to buy a land, for example, you want to buy it to hold it for a period of time, and then after a period of time, you're going to sell it and make more profit. Now, emphasis on make more profit. Now, a land that is not accessible, when you're going to sell it, you're going to make any profit on it because it didn't appreciate in value. But you want to spend time looking for a location that is accessible to buy a land.
Yeah.
Right? I talked about some of my videos that a factor that that affect the appreciation on a property, sometimes accessibility is a key factor.
It is. It
Because
is.
when a place is accessible, it will draw a lot of people to come there.
Yeah.
And when they come there, there will be a lot of demand for
Exactly.
properties in that region.
Yeah.
Because nobody loves discomfort.
No,
Everybody
no.
loves comfort, right?
No, no, no.
Everybody wants to access their property anytime.
Yeah.
Now, for instance, you have a property, you want to sell it.
Mm.
But you can't take the person to buy that property to the property to inspect it.
Mm.
How then do you sell that property?
Mm.
Right? You want to show somebody the property, but there's no route, there's no route, there's no road to that property. How then do you show the person what you want to sell to him
That's
in the
not
form
possible.
of physical inspection?
Yeah.
So you want today to make a right decision to buy a property where there's accessibility of road networks in that region.
Yeah.
This cannot downplay the value of your land. You must experience appreciation.
Mm.
So when you want to buy a land today, ask, is the property accessible? Or how accessible is this property?
Yeah.
And if you're not around, you can ask for detailed, specific video of the location of that property. You're going to see how very accessible it is. All right. So please, when buying a land, buy a property that is very accessible
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. That's a good one. So I even find out that even beyond people telling you, you're trying to find out, like asking questions.
Yes, sir.
So you need to go there yourself and see it, because you
Mhm.
can't just take the
Word of mouth.
word of mouth and the information that you are being fed that's by the agent or any person who wants to sell the land to you. So
Mhm.
that's also, there's a need for physical inspection,
There
like you
is.
mentioned.
Yeah.
If you are not there, you can do a virtual inspection, but then ensure that there is accessibility. Because
that
you can't
property.
buy a property and you want to build on the property, then how will you not be able to convey construction materials to the property?
Exactly.
It's not possible.
Not possible.
Will you fly?
No,
Or
no, no.
even if you
I
fly,
go to
you need
jump
to
by
land
helicopter.
no matter, even if you fly, you still land.
Yes.
So that's why, like you mentioned, accessibility is a great factor.
It's key.
Even if it affect the value of your land, if in
Mm.
case if you want to resell. So it's very, very important. So we move to the fourth point.
Okay.
The fourth question, rather, it says, has the land been surveyed and registered? This is very, very important. So because people, once they see land, and I've noticed this thing, especially first time buyer.
Okay.
So they are no experience about this real estate,
Not
how
very
it works.
experienced. Yeah.
Maybe they've not bought property before. They've heard people say, "No, I bought that property."
Mm.
So they think that once a land, maybe a layout is like this, so you can just buy it,
Mm.
even when you don't check if that land is surveyed and if it's registered. So if before you buy land, you need to ask the question, is this land surveyed? So when you're talking about surveying, you're talking about if the land has been, the coordinates have been taken,
Mhm.
the size of the land has been taken, the shape and also the boundaries of that land has been taken. Because you can't just come and someone is telling you, oh, this is the land. The person is telling you this is the land. Just ask him where is the survey plan to
First.
indicate exactly that this land belongs to you and this is the land you are telling me, because survey plan contains every details about the land that you want to buy, the location, the coordinate, the size, the boundaries, even the name of the person who is selling that to you. And if it's registered, it's going to contain the name of the registered surveyor and the details about the person. So that's why you need to ensure that it is surveyed. So now, and also to buttress this point, there is two types of survey plan. So we have provisional and the registered survey. So it's possible that you want to buy land and someone is presenting a provisional survey plan to you, telling you that it's surveyed. Now, a provisional survey plan basically just for a temporal purpose. It's just to know the total area of a land. So, but it is not yet registered. That means you can still buy that land and you will be scammed. So that's why you want to buy. That's why we say registered survey plan. You just want to be sure. And how do you get to know if a land has a registered survey plan? You need to go to the land registry. You go to the office of survey general to verify even what that person is selling to you. And that's why I also need to be sure that the land is registered. All these things, when you was talking, you mentioned due diligence.
Yes, sir.
Due diligence is very important when it has to do with real estate land transaction. Just don't take any word the way it is being told to you. Don't take the property at face value. They are telling you, okay, this is the video, this is the land, this is the survey plan. go to land registry and verify every information, every document backing that property, and always ensure that the property is registered so that you don't buy a property tomorrow. When you now want to resell the property, you now have an issue, you cannot resell and you cannot even use that land. And the reason why survey plan is very important is that it prevents every possible encroachment. So you want to buy from an estate or maybe from an individual, and they're showing that this is the land. Once you have the coordinate, you know that this is the boundary of your land, and you cannot go beyond this particular line. And that will help you even when you want to buy or want to do your perimeter fence. You know that this is the boundary. I cannot go beyond this, because if you go beyond your land, you definitely have issues in the future. It can lead to land disputes or even any other issue that might not demand that, oh, you might need to resell or maybe give out the land or maybe reduce the size of your land after you have raised your perimeter fence. So get to know if the land has a survey, especially if you're a first-time buyer. And that's why it is good to work with an experienced real estate agent, because you are just coming into that state and you don't know much about a real estate land transaction. You need someone who is very experienced, a property lawyer, a real estate consultant. Then this person will help you to carry out the due diligence like you mentioned earlier so that you make the right investment. So I don't know if you have anything before we move to the next one.
Yeah, basically said everything, but
Okay.
what the point, the major take home point is that you need a registered survey plan,
Yeah.
all right? Majorly because of encroachment.
Yeah.
You do not want to exceed your boundary of your land. And how then do you know the boundary of your land without having a survey plan? A survey plan is just like the birth certificate of a land. It shows you specific information about the land,
Yeah.
down to even the topography and shape of that land. Even if it's a waterlogged area, it's going to show. If it's a dry, flat land, it's going to show, right? So you want to get it right, especially as a first-time buyer, someone who's not very experienced. And funnily, you're not experienced. So what you need to do is to contact people who are professionals in that field, in that location.
Yes, sir.
You don't contact somebody in Lagos for a
Yeah.
property in Enugu. It really doesn't work like that, right? So you just want to get it right first and get it right all through.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're moving on to the next point, which is, will all the rights and interests be conveyed with the sale of the property? This is very, very important question, right? When you want to buy a land, you need to ask, will all the rights, interests be conveyed to me, the buyer, when this property is being sold to me? Funnily, there are situations whereby, in fact, real estate land investment is everything on top of the land and underneath the land,
Exactly.
right? Is in your possession. Beautiful, isn't it?
It is.
Now imagine buying a land and under of your land has oil, crude oil, or under of your land has gold, and yet you now bought the land and then discover that there's gold there, and the person is coming to meet you and tell you that, oh, it's just everything on top of the land that's yours, everything underneath is mine.
Yeah.
You're going to feel some form of frustration.
Yeah.
You're going to be angry because
Yeah.
you did not ask if every interest of that land is yours. All right. So it's supposed to be everything underneath that land and on top of that land that is going to be sold to you with the land. So you need to ask so that tomorrow you don't come about funny stories and someone comes to you and tells you funny things that, oh, there's diamond on this land,
Yeah.
and it's mine. Wow, that would be so annoying,
Right.
right? So you want to get it right because there's some lands that are blessed with natural resources.
Exactly.
They're just blessed with it.
Yeah.
It was not deposited by anybody, it's just God, right? So just find out that on your land it has some nice precious stones. And this is for you because you bought the land.
Yeah.
So, but if there is not a clear question to that effect, if you're not clarity, if you don't have clarity on if everything on the land and underneath the land belongs to you, you might run into issues or encounter some unpleasant um let's say like occurrences between the person that sold it to you and you who is the current owner.
Yeah.
So you really want to cross your T's and dot all your I's as regarding land transactions, especially if you're a first time buyer or if you're someone that bought before but you didn't know this part, because this is happening. Really, you all know that underneath some lands are a lot of pressure. So like in Enugu before, it has coal, or it still has coal, right?
Yeah.
Some places have lead, iron ore, diamond, gold, oil. These are things that are found in lands, right? As much as they're found in water, but they're found in land too. And you can be blessed with such on your land, but you didn't know. And then after a period of time, someone is coming to tell you something very funny about it after you've paid for it. You're supposed to pay for what is on and underneath it. So please make sure you stipulate and ask if all the rights and interests that comes with this land is being sold alongside the land to me when next you're buying your next land.
Yeah, yeah, that's an important one. Also, want to say that if have the privilege of getting access to the documents even
Yeah.
before the real transaction happens,
Mm.
take out time to read through the documents.
True.
If you can't do that, then get your lawyer to help you interpret
Interpret.
some
Yeah.
maybe jargons that are
Or
beyond your
terms.
understanding. Yeah. So it's very, very important because outside world people tell you like word of mouth, and they are telling you all the rights and all these things will be transferred to you, interest, ownership once you buy. That's good. But also ask them for the documents. And once you
Is
have
written.
access, yeah, have access to those documents because it's document that you are going to sign.
True.
After payment, you're going to sign. And if you
But it's
don't
the agreement.
exactly. And if you don't take out time to read this document, then how will you know if all the rights, interests, and ownership are transferred to you?
Mm.
So there are some clauses that you find in documents that because these people did not take out time to read this. It was
Leave it
after the
through.
transaction, and ask, yeah, but why are you saying this thing now?
The person that asked you, didn't you see it before you signed it?
And that's the thing.
You not start arguing back and forth.
Exactly. So take out time, please. Read the documents. If you have a lawyer, please go with your lawyer. It's very important. Read it very well, go through it very well, and be sure that whatever terms that is stipulated in that document that you're okay with it, and ensure that you have the full rights, interest over that property before you make any payment for the land that you want to buy.
Mm.
All right, so we move to the fifth question. Okay, the sixth question. Are there any environmental defects or issues with the property? So before you buy any land, you need to ask this question. So you want to know if that property has any environmental issue, any defects on that property. So we're talking about issues like erosion, issues like flooding, or maybe issues like, take for instance, like when we talked about the land zoning. So an area is mapped out for agricultural purpose,
True.
and now you want to buy the land. So you want to know if that land has been, if they have done any mining on that land before. Maybe you mentioned coal. So there are places here in Enugu that they still mine coal.
Yes, sir.
Enugu used to be one of the major mineral resource that we used to export back in 90s. It used to be coal.
True.
But after some time, maybe other things, resources start coming up. So the attention was not directed to other things. But there are still places in Enugu where they still mine coal. All right, so we are back again. Apologies for that interruption. All right, so we are currently on number 8. So the question says, what is the current owner using the land for? So this is also very important. So you want to know where you want to buy, the owner of the land, what is he using the land for? So, and this will help you to know whether it will be suitable for what you also want to use the land for.
True.
So if it's for industrial purpose, maybe the person has a factory already in the land and you want to start agriculture. So you know you cannot use it for agriculture because the purpose that what the person was using that land for will not be suitable for what you want to use it for. And take for instance, the person is using it for um, a residential purpose and you want to use it for commercial, you know you cannot use that for something like that. So it's very important that you get to know what that land, the owner, the current owner is using that land for before you buy. At least that will help you to ensure that whatever you are buying the land for will definitely meet your needs so that you don't make a wrong investment and end up regretting your investment.
Okay. All right. So having said that, we're moving on to the next, which is what are your neighbors using their properties for?
Yeah.
This is quite important,
Yeah.
right? To know what other people beside you or your property are using theirs for.
Yeah.
This can also inform what you want to use yours for. Like you
Mm.
rightly said, imagine that your next neighbor is having an industry there
Mm.
and it's producing a lot of noise and sound. Then what can you use your own property for in such a place? You know you cannot live there because the early morning factory, evening generator taking you up, you cannot do a residential apartment there.
Mm.
Or imagine your next neighbor is using it for let's say agricultural reasons. You
Yeah.
know that place will not be looking like out of town because the rearing of animals there is going to inform you because of noise pollution and all
Yeah.
that. Having cattle close to where you want to live is a no-no, right? So one of the questions you need to ask is, what is my neighbor using his property for?
Yeah.
This can also inform what you want to use yours for, because you don't want anything that will disturb your purpose for a particular land. All right, so that is it. Ask the question today when you want to buy a land next.
All right. So last on our list is, are there any potential government action against the
Against.
property?
Mm,
Mm,
powerful one.
powerful and very, very important. So if you are still watching us, please just type value. If you've been enjoying our discussion, just type value in the comment section. So now, if you want to buy land, especially here in the city of Enugu, as an investor, whether you are in diaspora or in Nigeria, or it's your first time investing in real estate. So you want to know if the government has any potential action against the property. So he mentioned earlier that according to Land Use Act 1978, all land in Nigeria belongs what to the government, but it held in trust by the state government. So the government has the right to map out a portion of land either for a public purpose or maybe for any other purpose. So it's possible that you have a land and the government comes up tomorrow and start asking you, oh, this land, oh, we want to use this land for so reason. So we're going to compensate you. Either we'll find another location or maybe pay you whatever is commensurate to the price of that land. They will just pay you off and then use that land for whatever they want to. So you want to know if the land government has any interest over that property. And you cannot know this unless you conduct a proper due diligence. That's why we are laying emphasis on due diligence. Before you buy land, outside asking the person the question, you need to go to the um, government parastatals in charge of land transaction in that particular state and verify to know if the government has interest over that property. It's possible maybe when that person bought that property, the government had no interest. But after some time, the government can now decide and they will map out that location for a particular purpose. Then you still want to go and verify if currently the government has any interest, or maybe in the future, whether the government have mapped out that land for a particular purpose in the future. That's why we are really emphasizing on this due diligence, because it's possible you are listening to us and you just say, okay, I've heard this question, let me go and buy land. But if you don't conduct a proper due diligence, you can buy a genuine land today and tomorrow that land can have issue. That's why you need to ensure if government has any possible action over that property, because if you buy and the government has interest, in the future they can come and demolish it and you not do anything. They can only compensate you if you have every of your document registered. Then if they are not registered, it simply means it's going to be an issue with the government. So that's why it's important that for you to conduct a proper due diligence and know if government has any interest.
So one of the benefits of sticking with us from the beginning of this question session up to this end is that I get to tell you precisely the document you're going to be looking for when you go to the Ministry of Lands to check if that property has any government actions against it. So when you go to the Ministry of Land, you need to look into the Gazette. Now, a Gazette is a document that shows all the lands that have been exercised back to the communities. All right, to show you the lands that are used for government purposes and show you the ones that are free from government interest. These are all shown in the Gazette. It's like a journal with the Ministry of Land. You can go there, check it up, and see if the location you're eyeing, you might be eyeing a location where you want to buy a land. Now you can go to the ministry and look into the Gazette, and the Gazette will show you the lands that are under government interest,
Yeah.
and the lands that are not under government interest. And like my colleague rightly said, you can buy a land that is genuine and all that, and then the government can step in tomorrow. The beautiful part about doing due diligence is that you must have been first of all aware that the land you bought was not in their interest, but now they're coming for it because they want to do something for the public or anything they want to raise there. The beautiful part is they're going to be compensated. But when you don't do your due diligence and go and buy a land that already been under the acquisition alone, you might not get any compensation for that property because you didn't do your due diligence. But when you've done your due diligence, the ripple effect is that you're going to be paid off. Either they're going to reallocate you to another property or
Yeah.
land, or they're going to pay you in full for any damages or anything that's or inconveniences
Yeah.
that are bringing to you. You're going to be paid sufficiently enough for it. All right. So this is it today, and with this, we're wrapping up on this session of questions
Yeah.
that must be answered either by yourself or by person you want to buy from. Important questions you need to ask and get clarity on before buying a land currently in Nigeria.
All right. So just to remind you, we are a real estate company. We are Browdy Global. So we're a real estate marketing and development company. So we help investors like you, as you're watching us, we help people like you to make smart, secure, and profitable real estate investments. So whether you're looking for land for investment purpose, or you're looking for land where you can just buy and then you start building either to in the future, or maybe you want a house where you can just buy and then live with your family, then Brody Global is that company that you need to reach out to. I mean, as you are listening to us, we'll drop our details, our contact in the comment section. And even if you have any question, please, you can drop it in the comment section. So while you're listening to us, if you're looking for any of these properties we listed, whether for land or maybe house, just reach out to us on the contact in the comment section. Then you can call us, let us know here in Enugu or in Abuja, you're looking for land or house. We'll be very glad to attend to you. And just in case this is your first time joining us, we always do this live session on weekly basis. So just always stay tuned. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you get notification anytime you will come live, anytime we drop videos regarding how to invest in real estate, because we create content also as a real estate company. So you want to invest in real estate, but you don't know how the company or how the industry works. You can listen to all our videos on our YouTube channel so that you'll be educated and also receive the necessary information and knowledge that you need before you invest in real estate. And we want to thank you for sticking with us to this point.
Yeah, and especially if you're also a first-time buyer and you need someone to just guide you, hold you by the process, hold you step by step all the way without you having to stress or lose out your monies to scams, or invest genuinely, safely, and profitably across Enugu and Abuja. We are also available for that. Just you need tips and strategies on how you can best get the value for your land and house. Reach out to us on the numbers in the comment section, and we are here 24 hours a day to address and handle your issues. All right?
All
So we
right.
come your way next time. Keep investing safely, smartly, and profitably right here in Nigeria. Have a wonderful day.